I consider the matter urgent. That of your succession.
Well, who else would have a claim?
The firstborn child.
Rhaenyra. No queen has ever sat the Iron Throne.
The king has an heir, Daemon Targaryen.
I will not be made to choose between my brother and my daughter.
Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon. Alright, so House of the Dragons is set 200 years before the events of Game of Thrones. Before the horrible ending that we saw in Game of Thrones. We're finding out, like, we were seeing the height of this great empire of the Targaryen dynasty. And what really, in the end, brought it into the dragons. And it was the first crack in the armor in the Targaryen dynasty that will eventually lead to the events of Game of Thrones. So, I've read about this story so many times. The story of Rhaenyra Targaryen, the Dance of Dragons. It's one of the most famous Game of Thrones stories. Maybe the most famous Game of Thrones stories. I mean, the idea of dragons fighting dragons. And this whole first season is set up for that civil war that we are going to see the next however many seasons we're going to get of Game of Thrones. House of the Dragon. And so first, I really liked how they did with the time jumps. I was a big fan of it. So we had different actors playing different younger versions, and then you have older versions of the characters. And I just want to give a shout out to the two young actresses that plays both Rhaenyra and Alicent Hightower. They knocked it out of the park, like, because you're like, and then when you get into their older versions, they knocked it out of the park. And that's the thing I love about this show, was I like seeing the time jump. I like seeing the different eras. And another character I really was surprised at how much I liked him was the guy that plays Viserys Targaryen. I have seen him in a lot of stuff. Mostly the things I remember him mostly from is from Hot Fuzz and The World's End. You know, he's that comedic British actor. Like, I always remember him in Hot Fuzz. But he is so good. Like, I read a story that George R. R. Martin texted him saying, "You made a better Viserys than I did." And you feel for this guy because he's a good character. He's a good guy. He wants to keep the realm together. And he knows it just can't happen, but he does his best in everything and what he tries to do. Matt Smith. Oh my God, Matt Smith. Matt Smith, you know, I'm a big Matt Smith guy. I think Matt Smith is a very underrated actor. I mean, I'm a Doctor Who fan. Loved him in Doctor Who. I think, such a heroic character. The Crown. He's great in The Crown as a young Prince Philip. And to see him, Matt Smith, who I was like when you see him as the Doctor, he's this heroic character. And David, I don't call him a bad guy. I don't call him a hero. I think he's chaotic good, and I might just go chaotic neutral at times, because he can go one way or the other. Like that one episode where at the Stepstones, and he realizes his brother's forces are going to come in to save him. He said, "Screw that! I'm gonna go die out in a blaze of glory because I'm David Targaryen. That's what I do." And the end of the series, there's so many good episodes of the show. And for me, I love the politics of Game of Thrones. That was what really it's called Game of Thrones. It's about the politics and the world and at the end, whenever they're trying to set their boards up, trying to get their men and everything. I love the show. I was really surprised at how much I enjoyed it, because, I was really disappointed with the last show. The ending was horrible. And I'm really proud of, and I think a lot of what makes this show so good is how focused in it is. Because Game of Thrones, there were so many storylines scattered throughout the board, and they all had to come together. They could tell a lot smaller story. I know it doesn't feel like it, but we could tell a lot smaller Game of Thrones story, because we're just focusing on the line of succession, and those messages of should a woman rule, and there's a very feminist message in there, but I don't feel like it's baiting you down in your head like a lot of other female empowerment stuff we see on TV and movies. And that's one thing. You can see the story straight up in your face, but I think the show does such a good job, and how Rhaenyra loses the throne, and then how she's going to have to try to fight for it back. And I love the show. I was surprised at how much I really enjoyed it. Because, you know, the two shows, Lord of the Rings and House of Dragons, I was looking forward for the Lord of the Rings. I will say, I think I've been on the record, I think episode 6 of Lord of the Rings is the best episode of the two series. But overall, in an overall story, I think House of the Dragon was the far superior show. Will be ranked higher in my top 10 TV shows because I'll be shocked. I mean, there has to be some really good TV shows in the next week or two. A bunch of TV shows for me to rank Game of Thrones and Lord of the Rings below a top 10 TV. So guys, love the show. Looking forward to seeing what happens next. I don't think we're going to get another season until 2024. Aww. So guys, what are your thoughts of the first season of Game of Thrones, The House of the Dragon? What are your thoughts? Comment below. Let me know. And guys, if you like this video, click that thumbs up button, subscribe to see more. Tell your friends about Easy Nation. All too easy.